The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Exploring the Unknown.
I'm Rebecca Williamson.
And I'm Shay Carroll.
Taking stories from today's news, we will explore everything from the paranormal, supernatural, the strange and unusual, unsolved mysteries, and more.
Join us as we delve deep into the unknown and the mysterious, taken from the headlines.
Water cooler chat with a paranormal twist.
Be sure to join our Facebook group, Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay. Welcome to the show. Hey girl, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you too!
Yeah. So today is actually Christmas Eve in real time, but when they hear this, it's going to be the day after Christmas.
Right? So it's like we're living in Christmas past,
yes,
and then it'll play in Christmas future.
That's right. We love each other so much that we had to spend Christmas Eve together.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
We had to.
Who better spend Christmas Eve with than Shay?
That's right. So, how's things going? How's the new house? How's the new teenager?
New house is good. I'm finally kind of feeling more settled in. Still a lot of boxes, but it's getting there. It's starting to feel more homey. And then, yes, Amelia turned 13 this month, so she is an official teenager instead of just acting like a teenager. So that's good.
Crazy.
I know. It is crazy.
It is. Your youngest just turned a teenager. My youngest, in May, became no longer a teenager.
Wow.
So right now, I guess she's technically almost 20 and a half.
Wow.
Have I given you the update on her?
No, I don't think so.
Since we're talking about kids. You know she's going to London, England, for the study abroad for 5 months or so.
Oh, I guess I didn't know that. I missed that part.
Yeah, she's leaving January 15th, and she won't be back until May, the end of May.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I had just wrapped my head around. And then she messages me, Mom, I have something to tell you. You're going to be mad at me.
Uh-oh.
That's what I said. I'm like, yeah, now you have to tell me right now. You can't leave me. She's like, I'm going on a road trip to California. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we're going to drive to California. They're doing a week. They're driving to California.
That'll be fun.
That's what I said. I said, I'm not mad. I mean, I'm disappointed that I don't get to spend that week with her.
Right.
But I would do it if I was her. Like, you don't get to...
I was going to say, when you're 20, that's the time to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, she's got one more year of college. And then, it's adulting time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they have it all mapped out and stuff, so...
Oh, cool. Cool. What are they going to do on their trip? They got, plans of places they're going to stop and see, or...
Yeah, the only place I can remember is Alcatraz.
That's at the end.
Yeah. Well, that's where I got excited.
That would be cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah. I think there was one other one. I mean, there's a whole itinerary, but between the medicine and the COVID, I can't remember. Everything has to be written down. It's true.
Yeah, I get it. I get it, for sure.
So, what are we talking about today?
Ghost stories. I love ghost stories.
Ghost stories. Woohoo.
Tonight 10 spooky ghost stories for Christmas time.
I love how they spelled Christmas time, by the way.
Yeah, it's like all one word squished together.
I can't spell, and I know that's not right.
I don't think it's one word, but they're using it as one word.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes. Carterhaugh I think is where this one is at. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks it.
Okay. A few weeks ago, a Smithsonian article by Colin Dickey called A Plea to Resurrect the Christmas Tradition of Telling Ghost Stories was making the rounds on Facebook. To our surprise, it seemed like most people weren't aware that Christmas ghost stories were a thing in Victorian England. A big thing. This is what happens when you forget not everyone has an unhealthy obsession with the 19th century Britain. And while there are a few little hints of it in today's world, mainly via many, many adaptations of Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and scraps of lyrics like "There'll be scary ghost stories" and the song "Is the most wonderful time of the year," and the vast majority of the Western population no longer connects Christmas with ghost stories at all. And our man Colin is right. That's really a shame. So we're bringing them back.
Woohoo!
To understand why Christmas was traditionally a time for ghost stories, you have to look at the various connections the celebration of Christmas has to the Celtic celebration of Yule, the winter solstice, and the darkest night of the year. While, like Halloween and Samhain, these connections are not perfect, there are still significant borrowings that should be considered. What's most important here, however, is that the winter solstice is yet another liminal time, a time of the year when the veil between worlds is thin. This makes it, therefore, a perfect time for ghosts. This belief, coupled with the fact that it simply gets darker earlier, makes the end of December the prime and traditional haunted storytelling time. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that you would tell ghost stories in the dark.
Let's tell ghost stories anytime.
Well,
we can do the blessing at Christmas dinner and eat and then still sit there and tell ghost stories.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Why not? I like it.
I like it.
Let's
see. While telling ghost stories in the dark of the year has been popular for centuries, Christmas ghost stories were wildly popular in Victorian England, especially in periodicals and as part of oral tradition. Dickens' classic work was by no means the only ghost story, though it was, as Dickey argues, perhaps the most sentimental and therefore lasting. But ghost stories appeared all over the place, some much better than others, of course, but all intending to inspire at least a small shiver. Dickens was also a huge editor of Christmas ghost stories. He believed that Christmas Eve is the witching time for ghost storytelling, and frequently included ghost stories in the magazines he edited. Interestingly, women contributed a huge portion of these Christmas ghost stories. Scholars have estimated that as much as 50 to 70% of all 19th century ghost fiction was written by women.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
It is interesting. And, you know, like, a lot of the Victorian horror stories were written by women, like Mary Shelley and that stuff.
Yeah. Frankenstein, yeah.
So why were the Victorians so obsessed with ghosties? And it wasn't just ghost stories. They also had fads for holding seances, picnicking in cemeteries, which I think should still be a thing, and forming spiritualist and occult societies. Part of it was the development of a middle class. More leisure time, higher literacy meant more people reading, and part of it was that ghost stories offered fantasies of destabilization of the powerful at the time, when the British Empire was at its height. And part of it is simply that legends are powerful ways of dealing with anxiety and having fun. So here are a few of our favorite Christmassy ghost stories, some from the Victorian age, some from a bit far, blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
So we should probably say that if you want the full article, go in and read it, because we are skipping small parts here and there because it is Christmas Eve, and it's a very long article. And although Rebecca loves me, you know.
And I know you guys like to hear me read, but maybe not quite that much.
Yeah.
Because they take out some snippets of the stories and put in the article, and I'm going to skim over some of that. So
Yes. Yeah.
So their first one is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which was written in 1843. This one is the most famous ghost story of Christmas ghost story of them all. Obviously, we have to start with this one. The miserly Ebenezer Scrooge is thoroughly haunted by 3 ghosts until he is scared into embracing the Christmas spirit. And we all know that one.
Yes, I was just thinking that. If you don't know that one, even from like Donald Duck and his nephews, I mean, come on, everybody knows a version of it.
Yeah, Donald Duck, Muppets.
Yeah, they said that in here somewhere, but I love the original.
Yeah, the original. There's that one that Jim Carrey did, I think. I don't know. They're all good.
I don't think I've ever seen one with Jim Carrey, though.
Did Jim Carrey? I think so. I think there was a live action one a few years ago. Anyway.
Oh, sorry.
Good
that
stuff.
was a lot of
Good
these
stuff.
I haven't heard of. So
okay, yeah. The rest of these stories I don't know that I've heard of. So we'll go into those. The Old Nurse's Story by Elizabeth Gaskell, written in 1852. This one is a classic Gothic Victorian ghost story, replete with ancestral secrets, organ music, and a seriously haunted house.
ooh.
Yeah. Let's see. I turned towards the long, narrow windows, and there, sure enough, I saw a little girl, dressed all unfit to be out of doors, such a bitter night, crying and beating against the window panes as if she wanted to be let in. She seemed to sob and wail till Miss Rosamond could bear it no more and was flying to the door to open it. Yeah, this one's kind of a creepy one.
Yeah. It's definitely worth reading. Again, we can't read the whole thing because they're all, like, very long.
Yeah, let's see. I had heard no sound of the little battering hands upon the window glass, although the phantom child had seemed to put forth all its force, and although I had seen it wail and cry, no faintest touch of sound had fallen upon my ears. Yeah, that would be kind of creepy.
Kind of creepy. Don't we deal with that stuff a lot?
Yeah. Let's see. Next one, Horror, A True Tale by John Berwick Harwood from 1861. Slow burning suspense of this tale is enough to make your hair curl or turn white overnight, just like the narrator. Let me share a tiny snippet of this one. I have heard since then of the Scottish belief that those doomed to some great calamity become fey, and are never so disposed for merriment and laughter as just before the blow falls. If ever mortal was fey, then I was on that evening.
Oh.
Sounds kind of good.
It does. This is your winter reading, guys. We're assigning you winter reading.
Yes, I think you could read one of these every single night through the entire month of January. I think that sounds perfect to me.
All right, one in January, February, like we can stretch it out.
I wonder if there's like a collection that you could buy a whole little book of winter. Let's see. Next one, Bring Me a Light by Jane Margaret Hooper from 1865. Snow White's stepmother has got nothing on this vengeful Lady Henrietta. The story details how her evil deeds poisoned her family home for generations. She paced to and fro, turning and returning with savage, stealthy quickness. The day waned and night began. Her servant came to see if she were wanted, and was sent away with a haughty negative. She is busy with some wicked thought, murmured the old woman.
Oh.
The Ghost Summons by Ada Boyson from 1868. A doctor is hired to witness a man's final hours. Would you be willing to earn £1,000? £1,000? His words seemed to burn my very ears. I should be thankful. I could do so honestly, I replied with dignity. What does the service require of me? A peculiar look of intense horror passed over the white face before me, but the blue-black lips answered firmly, to attend a deathbed. It doesn't sound, I don't know. That doesn't sound creepy to me.
It sounds kind of...
Maybe I'm jaded.
No, it doesn't sound creepy. It sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, like one of those crying movies that I hate to watch, where the girl gets cancer and dies, but she falls in love with some guy. And I don't like those movies. And so
I do.
Oh, God, no!
But I'm also the type that loves depressing music. Depressing music and movies make me feel better. Like, okay, my life's not that bad.
Well, okay, I can kind of see your point there, but
it does. It just, it's like, okay, maybe other people go through this crap too. What do they say? I know I am interrupting a lot. We're trying to get through this quick, but what do they say about country music? If you play it backwards, he gets his house back, his dog back, his wife back.
Yeah, and the truck comes back.
Yep. So, see? This is why it takes us so long to record, because I have fun interrupting.
Okay. It's okay. It's all good. The Kit Kat bag. No, Kit bag. The Kit bag.
Kit Kat.
By Algernon Blackwood from 1908. Sarah saw the title of the story and thought, the Kit bag, and then read it only to find herself shrieking, the Kit bag! The story is a great reminder why it's a bad idea to defend a murderer.
Okay. That
sounds, I don't know. It's difficult to say exactly at what point fear begins, when the causes of that fear are not plainly before the eyes. Impressions gather on the surface of the mind, film by film, as ice gathers upon the surface of still water, but often so lightly that they claim no definite recognition from the consciousness. Then a point is reached where the accumulated impressions become a definite emotion, and the mind realizes that something has happened. Something of a start. Johnson suddenly recognized that he felt nervous, oddly nervous. Also, that for some time past the causes of the stealing had been gathering slowly in his mind, but that he had only just reached the point where he was forced to acknowledge them.
Ooh. That's heavy.
Yeah.
If you also, you have to remember the time that these were written.
Yeah.
It takes on a different meaning and a different tone for the time they were written, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. You can definitely tell that these are like not 1860s, these last couple. So.
Yeah, it seems like they're almost going in order.
Like chronological order.
Yeah.
Let's see. Between the Lights, E.F. Benson from 1912. Crispness, Croquet, and Hallucinations. What's not to love?
Croquet. Is that game?
Yeah, that's that game.
Is that you?
Yeah. Living in the Midwest, and we're not playing croquet in December, but okay.
Not in December, but yeah. And not in like 30 years either, mind you, let me just say. But my grandparents used to play it outside their yard, and so.
Yeah, we used to play croquet too. It's fun.
It was. I don't know whatever happened to it. We should bring that back.
Yeah.
Haunted tours with Rebecca and Shay at the Camry House, and a game of crochet. I almost said crochet. Because I said Shay. Croquet. But I almost said, there, we could call it crochet. Sorry. Okay. I'll try to behave. Did you lose your place?
Well, I was trying to figure out where to start on this. Let's see. Well, let's say for the moment that it was not a dream exactly, but a hallucination. Whichever it was, in any case, it haunted me for months. I think it was never quite out of my mind, but lingered somewhere in the dusk of consciousness, sometimes sleeping quietly, so to speak, but sometimes stirring in its sleep.
I have to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because that describes my whole life.
I know, that's what I was just thinking.
Seriously.
I get what she's saying here.
I'm not being depressing. That, like, right? Doesn't that, like, sum it up? Like,
yeah.
right.
Exactly.
It does. Sorry. I don't know why I always say sorry. Every episode I interrupt you, and I always say sorry, but you expect it.
I can expect it. What's the next one? Let's see. The next one is The Dead by James Joyce. Now, I know this author, James Joyce. He's written a lot of other stuff. This one's from 1914.
All right.
So technically, no ghosts appear. The story is haunted by the memory of a young man long since dead.
Huh.
A few light taps upon the pane made him turn to the window. It had begun to snow again. He watched sleepily the flakes, silver and dark, falling obliquely against the lamplight. The time had come for him to set out on his journey westward. Yes, the newspapers were right. Snow was general all over Ireland, and it was falling on every part of the dark central plain, on the treeless hills, falling softly upon the bog of Allen, and further westward, softly falling in mutinous Shannon waves. It was falling, too, upon every part of the lonely churchyard on the hill where Michael Fury lay buried. It lay thickly drifted on the crooked crosses and headstones, on the spears of the little gate, on the barren thorns. His soul swooned slowly as he heard the snow falling faintly through the universe, and faintly falling like the descent of their last end upon all the living and the dead.
Now, I would actually probably read this.
Yeah, that one does actually sound kind of good.
It does sound good. Very interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
I like literature.
I do too, and it kind of I like the ones like that Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's a ghost story, but not a ghost story. You know, like
yeah.
Let's see. This one is Smee by A.M. Burridge from 1931. It's a variation of hide and seek goes awry when 12 players find themselves counting their number as 13. Have you met the Sangstons? They're cousins of mine, and they lived in Surrey. 5 years ago, they invited me to go and spend Christmas with them. It was an old house with lots of unnecessary passages and staircase. A stranger could get lost in it quite easily.
My grandmother had a house that had those old passages. It was really cool.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, it was. All right, what do we? The next one's what? Dark Christmas. I like the sound of that one.
Dark Christmas by Jeanette Winterson. This one's from 2013.
Ooh.
In this contemporary tale, an idyllic Christmas vacation is troubled by the appearance of a manger and footsteps in the empty attic. A manger? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what? Wait a minute. This just took a turn.
I guess it's Christmassy.
Yeah.
We are lucky, even the worst of us, because daylight comes. It was a brooding day, that 21st of December, the shortest day of the year. Coffee, coat on, car keys. Shouldn't I just check the attic? The second set of stairs was narrow, a servant's staircase. It led to a lath and plaster corridor barely a shoulder width wide. I started coughing. Breathing was difficult. Damp had dropped the plaster in thick, crumbling heaps on the floorboards. As below, there were 3 doors. 2 were closed. The door to the room above my room was ajar. I made myself go forward.
I have so many questions. You have your coat on already, your keys in your hand. Why would you then go check the attic? Like,
maybe she heard the footsteps and then...
Yeah, I think we're missing something.
Major.
Yeah, I don't... Is the manger even in the attic? Like, so many questions. And if so, why is the manger in the attic? It's December 21st.
I know, it should be outside or like down, you know. I mean, you pull it out. It's one time a year it has to shine. So why is it in the attic?
Was it you that shared the meme of the manger with the cat as Jesus?
Yes.
That was funny. Not as Jesus, but the cat just...
Yeah.
Oh, come on, people. We're not worshiping cats instead of Jesus, or maybe we are and you just don't know it.
Due to the shipping delays, Jesus will be played by Earl this year, and it's got a grouchy looking cat laying in the manger.
Mm-hmm. It was funny.
And I guess that's the last one. It's a little side note here. It says these stories and many more can be found in the wonderful collection, The Valancourt Book of Victorian Christmas Ghost Stories, edited by Tara Moore. As of today, it is, quote unquote, $7.99 on Amazon Kindle. So grab it there.
Hey, that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't have a Kindle.
I do. I just have to charge it.
I would have to charge to get a Kindle, so see, we're kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I thought this was much, much longer.
When I was reading it, I think it's because the intro is so long on it, maybe.
How come A Wonderful Life isn't in here? It's mentioned at the beginning.
Well, was that a story or is that just a movie? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah. That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
It is.
It's
kind of ghosts, but not really. But angels.
Right, angels.
It's the same, The only difference between that and Charles Dickens's is it's 3 ghosts that visit, where Clarice, is that his name, was an angel?
Yeah. I think Clarence.
Clarence. Sorry, I was thinking Clarice as in Silence of the Lambs. I was thinking, wouldn't Jodie Foster be good as, like, the banker and...
A Silence of the Lambs and...
there we go.
Mashup. It's a mashup movie. We can...
Yeah, we can. Anthony Hopkins could play Clarence, and he could go Clarice. Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Hollywood's going to knock on her door for that idea.
Oh, right? This is copywritten, guys. Oh, my gosh. We're horrible, huh?
We're terrible. Yeah, our minds work more for Halloween than they do for Christmas. But, apparently we're not the only ones who think that way, because Victorian ghost stories, it could work.
Exactly.
It could work.
No, I never thought, like, even,
Had you heard of the Victorian ghost story thing before?
No. That's what I was just about to say. And it never dawned on me why certain movies and books and stuff, lean towards that. It never, ever crossed my mind. But that was the time, like they said, for like table tipping and seances and a lot of fake stuff too. But it was that time.
Yeah, it was that time. And yeah, no, I actually really like the whole idea of ghosts at Christmas stuff. It seems to go together, because the nights are so long and, the whole veil thing, and I love it. But, me, I love all ghosty things, so.
I do too. So could be a dumb question. Why is the veal thin on Christmas too? 2 months ago, I thought it was the thinnest on Halloween Eve.
Well, it traditionally, yes, it's supposed to be, but it's the winter solstice, so it's the longest night of the year. So
that makes the
we're furthest from the sun at this point, and it's or on the northern hemisphere anyway. We're the farthest from the sun at this point, and it's the longest night. The darkness is winning at this point, and that kind of stuff.
Huh. Food for thought. Like, I know I'm very sarcastic and I'm freaking hilarious, but this really makes you think.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. It does. It does. Kind of gives you a different perspective on the whole winter thing.
Yeah, and just history, literature in general, and movies in general. Like, just thinking of those.
Mm-hmm.
The time that these things came out.
Yeah, the Christmas Carol is such a classic story, but there's so much in it that you don't really think about when you like think about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those stories that you just know, so you don't really think about it.
You don't give it a second thought anymore.
Right, exactly. Have you seen that movie that came out? Oh gosh, it's been like 3 or 4 years ago now, but it was about Charles Dickens and told the story of him writing A Christmas Carol.
No, but I would like to.
Oh, it's a really good one. You'll have to watch it because it's kind of talking about how messed up his life was at that point, and I loved it. I love that movie.
You'll have to remind me or find the.
Yeah.
Because I love watching stuff like that. I'm out of documentaries, so I gotta find something. I have spent so much time on the couch. I'm literally caught up on everything, plus some. I can't do anything.
Yeah, no, I get you. But no, it was good. I really liked it. I liked that one a lot.
I want to. Now I want to see it.
I have to see it. It's not a documentary. It's an actual movie.
Yeah.
It's like
that's fine.
It's talking about Charles Dickens and how he wrote the Christmas story.
So hey, boom. That's Rebecca texting somebody. If you guys can hear that.
The Man Who Invented Christmas. That's what it's called.
Oh, I was close. She was typing. The man.
Yeah, I was Googling. Googling.
Oh, no.
Christmas. It came out in 2017. And yeah, it's really good. It was just.
How did he invent Christmas? Never mind. Don't tell me. Don't spoil the movie.
I'm not going to spoil the movie, but Christmas wasn't like the way we celebrate it now wasn't done at the time of Charles Dickens. And a lot of the things that Dickens talks about in A Christmas Carol are things that he made into tradition, so like the Christmas turkey and that sort of stuff. Like a lot of the things that Dickens wrapped up into the story became Christmas. So
I have very mixed feelings about Christmas, so.
Well, yeah. It's my least favorite holiday.
Me too. So
I really, and a lot of people will come at me with pitchforks.
But me too.
They do. People get really upset. They think you have to like it, and I don't. And I never have. I don't like it. I participate because it's almost like you can't. But yeah, no, not a big Christmas fan. I'd rather sit and tell ghost stories all night.
I like the traditions of Christmas, like spending time with the kids, setting up the tree.
Yeah,
when crafts. They were around to participate.
Crafts. I like getting together as a family, that kind of thing. Yes, that kind of stuff I do enjoy.
That's Rebecca's dog, by the way, not mine, for once.
She just jumped up and started running around, and now she's laying back down.
Hey, I just love when your dog participates because mine always does. I love the mail, but do you know, me and my kids haven't done Christmas presents in years and years. And my kids aren't quite that old. We just stopped. I got fed up with.
Oh, yeah, no, I think I have to buy for everybody. And I mean, every single niece and nephew, and I have a lot. And it's just it's a lot of stuff. And then I make stuff. I make crafty things for people.
See, I think that's cool. I'm making the stuff. But no, and even as young kids, as we know, my memory sucks. We'd have to ask Matt the years, but when they were really little, it was like jackets and things they needed or something, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Like, this is not what Christmas is. Whether I don't care if you're religious, not religious, but to me that's not what Christmas is. Christmas is supposed to be a time like Charles Dickens, that like tradition and family time and spending time together. It's not who gets the most, who can spend the most.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't like the emphasis on gifts and giving, and I just don't like it. Just seems it's so commercialized. Everything's commercialized.
All right.
And I'm not a fan.
Matt's ears must be ringing because I just mentioned him, and wouldn't you believe he just goddamn messaged me. He'll listen to this episode. Merry Christmas Eve, like ESP. That is so weird.
Too funny. Funny.
We love you, Matt. Okay, so this is one of our longer episodes. This is going on 40 minutes with we don't have to cut anything out, so I think we need to
wrap it up. And Merry Christmas. I hope you had a good one.
Yes.
And enjoy time with family and friends and not the commercialized olive.
Yes. Please. And thank you for everybody that listens to us and supports us and participates in our group and listens to our shows, because we pretend like we're so funny, but this is hard work, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And I've been putting a whole bunch of funny memes when I find the funny pictures and stuff on Facebook.
You do.
Group lately.
I'm surprised our group hasn't been reported yet. Some of them are pretty good.
Yes. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us this year.
Yeah,
sure.
And so our next show will be right after New Year's.
Yeah,
because we're doing every other week right now.
Right.
Oh,
and
my calendar doesn't go to January. Sorry, I can't. New Year's Eve is a Friday. So our next show should be the 2nd.
Yeah, maybe it'll be the Funny Mermaid one that we've been laughing about forever.
I know, but every time I think of editing it, it doesn't happen. I will get it out, I promise.
Okay, so everybody, you need to look forward to the Funny Mermaid one. When you hear it, you'll know.
I think it's the one we don't want to put out because I kind of fell asleep.
No, that was a different one.
That's what you keep saying, but there's only so many left, and we're getting down to it. All right, guys, we will see you in 2 weeks. Again, hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Watch out for those mermaids. They're coming.
Those mermaids.
Those mermaids.